do not die on me. Wake up. I mean it. Wake up. Come on. Ow!
Cut! What?
You're not supposed to hit her.
I felt that's what my character would do.
My face hurts. Can we try it again without the physical assault?
It all comes down to this one allegation, the thing where she got her TRO, the thing where she said that Johnny Depp threw a phone, it hit her on the face, and it caused the bruise. That's what it all comes down to. And there's such an overwhelming amount of evidence to this one, because he even confessed to doing it to her mother. He sent a text message saying that he was there, he threw a phone, and he thought that Amber would catch it, but she didn't catch it, so it must have hit her in the face and caused that bruise. She had all these pictures proving her point. So, you know, for him to hire lawyers in the first place and try to deny that he did that, even accidentally he denied that he did that, is an issue to me. Saying that part wasn't true is a reckless disregard for the truth, and that's where this whole thing kind of falls apart, because even this jury agrees with that. In the UK, they didn't think, they thought that Johnny Depp had abused her multiple times. This one, they at least agree with this one. They don't think it was an elaborate hoax where her friends conspired with her and spilt some wine. They just agreed with that part. They thought that Johnny Depp had defamed her by saying that part was an elaborate hoax. So now when Amber's doing this appeal, like, this is a strong point to make. It's an inconsistent decision, because if they believe that Johnny Depp had abused her one time, not necessarily even physical abuse, but just that he abused her one time, that should have been enough to say that he loses his case completely. He shouldn't have been awarded anything if that were true. And they at least believe that her abuse claim was true enough to say that it's not an elaborate hoax. So they've made a big mistake. The jury members made a very big mistake. And that's something that even Johnny Depp's team knows, Amber Heard's team knows. Johnny Depp's lawyers said that they're willing to waive the amount that she's supposed to pay to him for her to stop the appeal, which makes them look really suspicious. Like, why would you want to stop the appeal if they believe that they're in the right and that the trial was completely fair to her? Why would you be afraid of the appeal? Because Amber was not afraid of him doing an appeal in the UK trial. Like, he did the appeal then, and he lost twice in the UK, so I don't see why is he fighting back against the appeal. Why do they want to stop her appeal? It makes no sense if they are in the right. And going with this specific allegation of Johnny Depp throwing a phone at her face, him saying that it was an accident, saying that maybe he didn't mean to do it, it doesn't really add up when you really look into it, because in that phone call, Amber's saying to him that he had his hands on her after he threw the phone at her. Why did he have his hands on her after he threw the phone at her? And he never denied it. We don't know if it's true or not, because he never denied it on the phone call. And then, but in the text message to her mother, he said that Rocky came and put herself in front of Amber to protect Amber, like he was a goddamn psycho beast. So I don't know what that's about, but it lends credibility to what Amber's saying completely. So and Amber's talking about this whole thing in Australia. That's the most important thing, is her allegations in Australia, like the sexual violence. That's the thing that it seems like the jury does not believe. For some reason, they don't believe in that. And she's talking to him about how in Australia she was afraid that he could kill her, and then she talks about he can't counter with the fact that he lost his own finger. Again, she's not claiming responsibility for him losing his own finger. Multiple times she has not taken responsibility to that. He for the longest time did not accuse her of doing that. He said that he lost his own finger. So many times in private conversations he said that he did that. So I mean, I don't know, like, she's explained to him why she asked Io to call the cops, and Johnny Depp knows. He even knew that specific fact, that it wasn't Amber who called the cops, it was Amber who called out to Io to call the cops while it was happening. He wasn't, because there's so many things, it's like, does he hit her when he's drunk and he doesn't remember the details? And this is something that's kind of reveals a lot to me, because he remembered that specific detail, even though he was kind of in a paranoid state and maybe on the influence of drugs and alcohol. He was able to remember that specific detail of Amber calling out to the cops. And that's very important for me, because I don't believe in this whole monster thing. I think he has more awareness when he hits her. I've gone to the point where I believe he does do that, and I don't think he it's because of the drugs and alcohol and the alcohol. I don't think that's the reason why he does it. I think he has a lot more awareness than he lets on, and he uses drugs and alcohol as an excuse for some of this. There's too much evidence of coercive control and all that stuff to think that he doesn't know what he's doing. There's too much evidence for me to think that he is completely unaware of what he's doing.
I was beginning to worry you were dead.
I am indeed not dead, Your Honor, and my deepest apologies to the court. Don't worry, something amazing is happening. Your Honor, may I approach?
If you must.
Your Honor, some crucial evidence has come to my attention as of this morning. May I emphasize the word urgency?
Okay, proceed.
Your Honor, this stings.
When it comes to the whole TMZ thing and thinking maybe she's an abuse victim and she contacted TMZ to get more attention, it doesn't really change the facts. It won't change that Johnny Depp threw a phone at her. So if she called TMZ, it's kind of irrelevant to the case at hand. However, I did find it was very entertaining, these special guests that came on the end, these surprise guests that no one knew who they were. They were not on the witness list. They just came forward. And what was so funny is that Elaine was wondering, what is this guy gonna say? He's not gonna say that Amber gave this information. What's he gonna do? He can't reveal who the source is, because TMZ doesn't want him to reveal the source's name. So he couldn't really give too much information about this whole thing either way. It was such it's such a waste of time to have him there in the first place. I don't know what it means to have him be there. I know that one of them that TMZ did get tipped off by someone. I just don't know if it's Amber's side or if it's Johnny's side. And he didn't help me to figure that out. It was such a useless thing. And then Camille said that this guy contacted her they contacted Johnny Depp's team to give some sort of information, and he had nothing to say. He contacted her after the trial was already happening and it was already on TV and it was the most important thing going on. He got into contact with her because he had something to say, but he didn't really have anything to say. It's such a stupid thing. But anyway, I did do some digging on this TMZ thing, looking back on the conversation that Amber had with Johnny back in the day. They were talking about all this media stuff that came out about her, and she was saying to him that it's coming from his side. She was accusing him of putting this stuff out there. She said that it wasn't her, it was his team, and he's saying that maybe she was the one that put it out there. They were accusing each other. They didn't know who did it, whose team did it. It's still kind of a mystery. However, there are some things that is making me lean towards thinking it could have been Johnny's side. Basically what had happened was that on that phone call, She said to him that his security went on the record and lied as a proactive measure, and that it was completely unnecessary for his divorce attorney to file for divorce at all, which I think is true. I think what she's saying there is true. And then she goes on to say that they leaked that information to TMZ. Like, it was definitely from his side that his divorce, that him filing for divorce was leaked to TMZ. So that's something to make you think maybe it is Johnny's attorneys who are doing this. And then she goes on to say that if he wanted it private, why is TMZ being fed information literally by Laura Wasser and Marty Singer every step of the way, including her arrest records, which is something that Johnny Depp specifically has a tie to that information being leaked out, because there is a text message between him and Amber's dad where he kind of lightly threatens to reveal that information about Amber. So it's something that Johnny Depp specifically knew about. And he said that he's going to go into court and he's going to bring all this stuff out there, and he's going to hash it out in court, and he's going to bring all her arrest records out and take her down with it. Like, he's saying all this stuff to her dad. He's threatening the whole thing about the dogs in Australia to bring that thing back and have her pay for it, like stuff like that. So he's dangling those things, and specifically Johnny Depp did it. Is saying that kind of stuff. So it makes you think he has some awareness and he might be responsible for it. And then Amber goes on further to say that what's next? Are there going to be rumors about her being a stripper? And she says, I knew every single step of the way, everything you'd give him. And that's the point where Johnny Depp like loses his mind. He's like, I'd give him. And he's so offended that she would say that. And Amber's worried, like, what else is he going to give them? So I did a little bit of digging on this, like, the videotape, the edited videotape, like, who released that videotape? Because that's the thing that made Amber look very suspicious. It made her not a believable abuse victim. People doubted her story. They thought she was a manipulative person for videotaping Johnny Depp without his consent. He never assaulted her in that videotape, so it made her look sneaky. And I thought, why would she release that videotape? And it's one of those things where it makes both of them look bad. It makes Johnny Depp look bad and it makes Amber look bad. So it was hard to tell, like, which one of them would want to release that kind of thing. And then there is this quote where I have a link to something where it says, from the date that they got divorced, they got separated, they said, and that videotape came out, it said, sources connected with Johnny tell TMZ the video is heavily edited and there are portions where Amber is seen smiling and egging him on. The sources add the video was a complete setup by Amber. So it's interesting that the people on Johnny Depp's side knew exactly what was edited out to make a comment like that. It makes them look very suspicious, like they had access to that videotape to know exactly what was cut out of it. And I don't know if it's like, I think it does point to saying that maybe it was them that did it and they had this whole long game where they planned to do all of this in time, and that's why they released that tape, to make her look really sketchy to people, to make her look like a manipulative, scheming gold digger, and it was all an elaborate hoax. I think maybe that was something that his team had planned out for the longest time, and this is how they were planning to use it against her. I mean, it's just a theory, but I just think that's an interesting quote, that they said exactly what was edited out of that videotape. But I don't know. It's very interesting to me that
Timing of this appearance is beyond suspicious.
The timing of this incident was not manipulated. Ugh, I don't do that. It's called happenstance. And Your Honor, she's just jealous.
Jealous, please. I mean, of your breast implants, maybe, but clutch the pearls. But of your legal strategies, no.
Your Honor, I would never get breast implants.
Order. Ladies, please, let's leave the female form out of this.
I do not care for Camille Vasquez's legal strategies, like the way she misrepresents everything that Amber's doing. That thing in her closing arguments where she said, you're saying everyone except you is a liar is not true at all. That's not what it means. If you believe Amber, that's not what it means. Because, and she brought up the thing about how Isaac wept on the stand, and she's not calling him a liar. She said that he doesn't know anything. So like the police, like saying that the police, she's not calling the police liars exactly, because she's just saying that they seem to have seen exactly what Amber was talking about. They mentioned that she was crying and she had a red face. That seems to be exactly what her bruise looked like. So she's not being a liar by saying by saying what she said. Like, it doesn't mean that you have to think that they lied. Kate Moss, you don't have to believe that she lied about the stairs incident. Maybe you do believe that she lied about the stair incident. Like, it's very possible that she could have lied about that. I don't know. There's all kinds of things. Like, yeah, a lot of people can lie, and it's something that you can seriously consider. Like, a lot of these people, you can think that maybe they are telling lies on the stand. They're saying a lot of things that don't make sense. Johnny Depp definitely has lied on the stand multiple times. We've seen it so many things Rottenborn has pointed out. So, and it's mainly about what Amber's saying and what Johnny Depp is saying. That's what it's all about. Like, with domestic abuse cases, like, it tends to happen behind closed doors. Like, you're not expecting the witnesses to know that much. Like, they wouldn't know what would happen behind closed doors. I don't expect Isaac to know that Johnny Depp is an abuser or anything like that, because she never said that he witnessed anything, and he didn't lie. All Isaac said is that he doesn't know. He said that I never saw anything, I never witnessed anything. That's all true. He's not a liar. So I don't like the way that Camille misrepresents these things and makes it seem like it's so preposterous, like it's all one way or the other, because that's not what Amber's saying at all. But there are certain people where you have to question what they're saying. And when it comes to this whole thing, like, the main thing that the jury seems to disbelieve is this sexual violence thing, and that's the main thing that I want to focus on, is like this point, because there's no reason to disbelieve some of Amber's sexual violence claim. And the special guests that they had on the end are just very suspicious to me, because she had that Hicksville story, this very convincing, believable story. Amber told you this thing. It was the cavity search. She said that Johnny Depp trashed this trailer, and she had so many witnesses that agreed with her that he wrecked that trailer and that it looked like a bomb went off. So many people backed her up on that thing and said, yeah, it seems like that's all true. Now, the one thing that we can't verify is the sexual assault in the way she described. We cannot verify something like that, because it's something that happens behind closed doors. No one will know exactly what went down. That's the one thing that you can't prove. So Johnny Depp has this history of smashing things, of thousands of dollars worth of property damage. He's done that for such a long time. Like, before Amber was even born, he had been doing stuff like that. So it predates her, this kind of behavior. Like, it's not new. It's not something that's unbelievable for him to do. So if that part makes sense, the other detail that's very believable is that Amber said that he tore her dress, which is something that is also very well documented. There is a pattern of Johnny Depp ruining Amber's clothes when he's angry, when he's paranoid and jealous. He rips her clothes. Like in Australia, same thing. He poured paint and put meat all over her clothes because he was paranoid and jealous and doing cocaine. And it seems like they've established a pattern with that kind of thing, and there are witnesses to these things. So then, for them to bring in this random guy who no one knows, as a witness. He's not even on that witness list. He came out from nowhere, and he's giving you these intimate details about what happened between Amber and Johnny. Like, he's standing close enough to them to understand what's happening in their relationship, to say that no, it was actually Amber who was the jealous one. It makes him seem like that guy is a liar. Like, how could he possibly know that kind of thing? If Amber doesn't recognize him, no one recognizes him. No one knows who he is. Is there any proof that this guy is from where he's supposed to be from? It doesn't make any sense. And he's trying to deny that Johnny Depp ever trashed that trailer. The thing that so many witnesses said that they saw that trailer. They saw that it was wrecked. They bring this one witness who said, I didn't see any wreckage. There's only one light bulb fixture that was messed up. That's the only thing he wrecked. That's all it was. I'm supposed to believe this random person over all these witnesses that said that they saw that trailer be like it was completely wrecked. I'm supposed to believe this guy, even though it goes against the pattern of Johnny Depp when he's mad. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to side with this random person over all the witnesses who said that they saw something completely different. And I do not like these skeezy tactics, these lawyer tactics, to bring someone like this in and act like it's a credible, like this is evidence and it makes any sense at all, even though it defies the pattern of who Johnny Depp is. It defies everything that we've seen so far. And you're trying to say that this makes more sense. I don't care for this. But ultimately, it's not about like you disbelieve all the witnesses or this and that, because like I said, domestic abuse happens behind closed doors most of the time. So it's not about what all these witnesses say. It's not about them. It's about Johnny specifically, what he says and what Amber says, and who between them is telling you a more believable, more credible story, which is the more believable witness between Johnny and Amber. And so it's either you believe him or you believe her. Like, that's the whole thing. This is where the jury messed up in their decision, because you can't have it both ways. You can't say that they both defamed each other. You have to make a decision. It's either she was defamed or he was defamed. You can't say it was him or her. And that's the problem with all this. And then with this whole Hicksville thing, if they want to go against this point, there is a better way of doing it besides bring in this random person. And one of those things is allowing Amber's medical, her therapist records, because she has spoken to her therapist about these things with dates that correlate, and they blocked it on the grounds of hearsay. And the thing is, if Johnny Depp wants to prove that it's an elaborate hoax, shouldn't he allow her therapist records? Because it would kind of prove his point, because if she is doing an elaborate hoax, she's smart enough to lay these seeds with her therapist for all these years. It would back up what he's saying. It should be evidence to support his claim of an elaborate hoax. So it makes no sense why they would block her therapist records. It would lend some credibility to the histrionic personality disorder. Like, it would back him up. And I don't understand why they refuse to let these things in. It's not hearsay. It should be something that's supporting your claim. And it makes me think that the reason why they don't want to put her therapist records in is because in that it would reveal that there's the physical abuse, because there are some therapists that said that they saw bruises on Amber in person. And maybe they were fine with having the therapist records in until they were testifying and said that they had notes noting her physical injuries. And that's why they decided to block all of it, even though it's actually something that should support this elaborate hoax idea. So that makes them look extremely suspicious, in my opinion. I don't like the schemy, these stupid tactics. They just seem like real cheap shots, in my opinion.
Don't screw up your life over this. Trust me.
Trust you.
Is that a joke? I tell you, I got a baby on the way and I need help. And what do you say to me? Get a better job. Well, mine's fuck you. It's fuck you. Don't call me kid anymore. Don't call me kid anymore. You're nothing but an old man who's done jack shit with his life. You're a loser.
I love how in the closing arguments, Camille referenced this specific conversation and said that what they're talking about they're not referencing physical fights at all, because they brought up this thing about heinous slinging insults like we did. So if she's saying that is the extent of it, like they're not referring to them having a physical fight in this text exchange, which is absolutely ridiculous that she would say that, because there's so much evidence that they are kind of referencing. It is quite vague, but it does seem like they are referencing physical fights in some of the things that they're talking about. At the top, like he's saying, I tend to do that. He's talking about how I always regret it when I jump, or worse, when you jump. And when there are other fights where he talks about how Amber jumps, and then she's saying a jump is referring to a physical thing. So that's what I thought it meant. Like when they jump, that means it's a physical thing. So she ignored that part completely for some reason. But that's what I took it to mean. Like, do you jump with your words? I don't know if that makes sense, but. And then he continues to say that he wants to change his behavior. And again, like, he's saying that he's sorry for his behavior. Like, it's more than just like the insults. And I think you could argue that it's not just about insults. There are things that he does that go beyond it. Like, it is behavior. It's him smashing things. It's him like wrecking her clothes. Like, maybe that's what he means when he says behavior, but it is going beyond just the insults. Like, he can say it's more than just insults between them. It's not just the words that they're saying. And when it comes to the whole thing about who's the more credible narrator in these stories, one of the things that makes Amber so believable to me is that she's able to quote Johnny Depp. Like, she uses the exact words he says, like, and maybe she crafted a well-told lie. Like, for me, it's either she's giving you a very well-crafted lie, or it's just the truth. Like, it has to be one of those two things, because I can't poke too many holes at what she's saying. Like, she's saying that he often calls her kid, and that's true. There's so much evidence that he refers to her by saying kid, or he calls her a little girl. Now, the other thing that Camille has done is said that Amber beats him up regularly, which is such a bold move. Like, why would she say something like that? Because they're in a hole right now because she said something like that, like accusing Amber of beating him up. That's something that Johnny Depp doesn't even accuse Amber of doing. He never said that Amber beat him up. He always says, like, maybe she hit him, but he is able to restrain her. He's able to, like, call his security when things get a bit too much. So there's stuff like that where he is not saying that Amber is able to beat him up. Amber says to him, I didn't deck you, and he says, you couldn't deck me. And there's this other thing where she's saying to him, the difference between you and me is that I can't overpower you. And he says to her, why did you try? So he doesn't seem afraid of Amber physically hurting him, and like calling her a little girl. Like, she's not gonna beat him up with her fist. Like, the most she can do is, like, if she throws stuff at him, like if she's throwing a vodka bottle at him, yeah, that's different. But she can't beat him up with her fists. That's never something that he has accused her of. So that's something that I don't like his legal team trying to say, because that's not even something your client agrees with you on. So why would you say something like that? And the other thing is, like, Johnny Depp's stupid, the way he lies about things that doesn't make sense to lie about. Like, look at his texting style. Look at his very specific texting style. The exclamation points and the way he capitalizes certain words, or kind of randomly. Like, And he goes on to say that he did not write that Molly text message later on. That very clearly, it's a very obvious rapey text message. He's denying that he wrote that. And he's saying it doesn't look anything like me. Like, I mean, are you sure it doesn't look anything like you? I mean, it's either him or it's someone who knows exactly how to mimic his writing style and send that to someone for some bizarre reason. Someone would copy his texting style and write that stuff out for who knows why. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's making me think he meets the criteria of histrionic personality disorder more than Amber. Like, just based on this stuff, like the fact that he would lie about something so obvious, like, and it's something that he doesn't even need to lie about. He can say that he did it and not have it be a big deal. It doesn't, just because you he's already made a rape joke before, it doesn't mean that we will believe that you're capable of actually raping someone. It's a joke. It doesn't, or maybe it's not a joke or something, but there are other things to say. But to deny that he did it and say that's a random person who took his phone, under oath he said that a random person took his phone and wrote that stuff out. It makes him a less credible person to me. I don't understand how he can get away with that.
Your prior, or showed you this morning, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that mark under your left eye is what you claim to be a black eye caused by Miss Heard, correct?
Seems to be there's some scratches around my nose as well.
Okay. And that was the picture your team chose to show you, right? Let's pull up Exhibit 1905, Michelle, please.
I'm sorry, which number was it?
This is a new, these are 4 pictures of you, right?
Yes,
Yeah, and below it, they indicate that they were taken on July 24th, 2015 in Bangkok, Thailand, correct?
Objection, lack of foundation, calls for speculation. Overruled.
in Bangkok, Thailand, so before the train ride.
Correct, before the train ride, because you didn't get on the train ride till the 25th, is that right?
Somewhere in that area, I guess.
Okay. Mr. Depp, in these pictures that were taken before you got on the train ride for your honeymoon, where you claim that Miss Heard hit you and gave you a black eye, you have the exact same shadow or sunburn or mark under your left eye. The exact same mark, don't you?
That's the, when you get a side light, you see the occipital bone. So that is the exact area.
Yep. And it's actually...
A side light will cause that.
Yeah, well, the picture's not being taken from the side, is it? It's being taken head on, isn't it?
No. The lens in front,
yeah.
The light on the side
right.
will cause that occipital bone, I believe it's called, to appear sunken.
Just like lights on the side of a train car, correct?
Objection calls for speculation.
You can take that down, Michelle.
That was, in fact, in the dark. I had a chef, I had people on either side of me, so I don't see where the light fill is from the side there.
Mr. Depp, if you could wait for the next question. Next question.
Next question. Sorry. Even the picture your team chose to show you on that train isn't accurate, is it? Let's pull up
Objection
exhibit,
calls for speculation.
Let's pull up Exhibit 1859, please. Mr. Depp, this is the same picture, or the same, the exact same scene displayed in PX 162 that you looked at this morning, correct?
That looks like my face has been, the eyes have been photoshopped.
Oh, okay. So this post from the Eastern and Oriental Express's Facebook page, you're saying that that's photoshopped?
Is that from their page? I would, sure, why wouldn't they?
Let's pull them up side by side, please. Is that you in the photo, Mr. Depp?
It is me, but it's clearly...
Your Honor, I'd move to strike anything after that, first of all. This is the exact same picture, isn't it, Mr. Depp?
With radically different quality. And...
No, you answered my question.
How do you know I wasn't done answering?
You answered my question, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Johnny Depp never fails to amaze me with the way he answers these questions, like saying that the two pictures are of radically different quality, and the one that his team submitted as evidence was the one that was bad quality. It was the cropped one, the overly saturated, red-tinted, poor quality one. That's the one that his team submitted as evidence, and he's saying it's radically different quality. And then on top of that, he makes this... It's unbelievable what he said, that it appears to be the eyes on the good quality pic have been photoshopped, and it's just like, it's unbelievable that he would attempt to say that, saying why wouldn't they photoshop it? And it's just like, why would they spend hours and hours and hours taking this poor quality pic and then making it a much better quality with that's some amazing, incredibly talented Photoshop magic to take his dodgy picture and make it that look that good a quality, and then photoshopping different eyes on it to make it look like his bruise isn't that severe. It's just ludicrous. Like, the stuff that he's saying is so... And all of that just to put it on a Facebook page. Like, why is someone going to put in so much time just to put it on a Facebook page that no one will ever notice, no one's ever going to care about? It's unbelievable. I mean, it's just wow. To think, how could he get away with saying something like that? Something so ludicrous. And I don't know how he gets away with doing this stuff, and Amber is being crucified for sort of doing the same thing. She's not doing the same thing, by the way, and they're saying that nothing she says can ever be trusted because she has an edited picture. And even if she had an edited picture, it doesn't change the fact that it still looks like she has a bruise on her face. You can tell that there's swelling and there's redness. She has witnesses to back up that she had a bruise. It's pretty obvious she had a bruise. She doesn't need to go through all that effort to put on makeup and then for some reason edit it. Why is she going to edit it? It doesn't make any sense. If she's going to put makeup on and take a picture, why does she need to go through the effort of editing it? It doesn't make any sense. And then with the whole editing thing, I looked into it, what his experts said on it, and they're not saying that she edited it. Basically, the reason why Amber can't turn over metadata is because she doesn't have the actual device that she took the pictures on. Like the old iPhone she had, she doesn't have that device anymore, so she can't give them the original device with the original photo on it. But she gave them like over 50,000 pictures, and their expert was saying like some of them are originals, and then some of them, all of them, like you can say that the metadata is different because what happened is like she regularly backed up her iPhone into her computer, which is where all the images come from, and then they could see that some of them are originals, but then there are copies from the backups, and it goes into the storage, and there's an application in it which has the ability to do light editing, which is why it says it can go through an editor. But that's basically all it is. It's like a filter. It's just light editing, if anything. So that's they can't say anything super conclusive about it. You can't say that she did too much to change her picture, and it doesn't change the fact there's an obvious bruise on her face. Like, despite what the lighting looks like, there's an obvious bruise on her face, and she turned over everything. You can compare and contrast. You can look at both images and see what you think, and I think both images depict a swelling and some slight redness. So it doesn't really, if she gave them everything, what's the problem? There's really no problem, in my opinion. And it's just nitpicking to hang on this detail, because a bruise, her having a real bruise on her, it wouldn't change people's beliefs. It doesn't prove that Johnny Depp did it. You can say that she has a real bruise, but it's from Botox. You can say that she has a real bruise, but it's self-inflicted. It doesn't change anything. She has witness to back up the fact that there was a real bruise on her face. So it really doesn't matter. This whole picture business is so irrelevant to the case at hand.
Do not die on me. Wake up! I mean it, wake up, come on!
Jade. I'll go get some ice.
When Amber was giving her description of the assault, I did not expect her to have many physical marks on her face. Like, she often describes him being on top of her and slapping her, hitting her repeatedly. And I thought that she meant that he was slapping her across the face, like with the palm of his hand, the back of his hand, repeatedly, like she said, very hard, that he hits her hard. And I thought that she meant like slapping her across the face in that way. So I didn't understand, why would she have any marks on her face? Like, maybe she would have a few marks, but they wouldn't be like, it wouldn't cut up her face or anything bad like that. And then when Camille was questioning her, I was really confused. Like, why does she keep bringing up the rings? And then, like, people keep bringing it up to me. Like, people keep bringing up the fact that he was wearing rings, and it should really affect how her face should look afterwards. And I'm thinking about a slap, and a slap doesn't cause, like, heavy marks on your face. And then I guess the other thing is, like, a total misrepresentation. Like, Amber's pretty specific about her wording. Like, if she's saying to him about the whole hit and punch thing, she was so specific about that. And she said to him, "I'm sorry I did not hit you across the face in a proper slap," which makes you think that usually when she says hitting, it means a slap. So that's why I always thought that's what she meant. And then people look at Johnny Depp's rings on his fingers now, and they think that he has heavy rings, but back in the day, there's so many times where they showed pictures of him where he's not wearing heavy rings like that. Like, he's barely wearing any rings. Like, this time where she said that he punched her in the face, she used the word punch, and then she said he broke her nose, and then the next day that's how she looked the next day, and that's how he looked the next day. And if you look at his hands, he's wearing like pretty thin looking rings. Like, it's not really, he's wearing like one ring on his right hand. So I wouldn't expect it to cause all these marks on her face, if that's what all it was. So yeah, it doesn't seem like it should cause all that damage. And I think Camille misrepresented what this should look like, because the jury looks at Johnny Depp with his big rings and they think that he's like punching her in the face. And if Amber Heard meant that he punched her in the face, I'm pretty sure she would have used the word that he punched me in the face, because she's very specific. She says he punches me. She says exactly what it is. There are times where she says that he was wailing at her in a sloppy way, like with a closed fist, but not kind of slow punches, like it wasn't really going to cause too much damage on her. She describes that. She talks about him pounding on the back of her head, so I guess that's punching, but it's the back of the head. You wouldn't expect it to cause marks on her face. She's so specific about that kind of thing. And maybe with the whole thing about her saying the hitting and punching, she's referring to herself when she says that, like when she hits Johnny Depp, because that's also something people think, is that she abuses him. And she describes their physical fights, and she says that the way she starts off these physical fights is by slapping him across the face. And what I find is really interesting is that Johnny Depp doesn't seem to remember those times where Amber has slapped him across the face. So I don't know what to make of that. Does that mean that Amber doesn't slap him across the face, and that Amber's lying about slapping him across the face? Like, I don't know which. If everything she says is a lie, does that mean that Amber doesn't slap him across the face? Like, what does it mean? What do you take from that? Like, if you can't remember Amber slapping him across the face, should I like not trust Johnny Depp's memory about anything? And maybe he does hit Amber and he just doesn't remember that either. If he can't remember her slapping him, maybe he can't remember the way he responds to the way she slaps him. It's all up in the air, but I don't like this misrepresentation of what I think Amber means by hitting, because I don't think she's saying that he punches her in the face repeatedly with heavy rings. He's clearly not wearing heavy rings at the time of some of these incidents. In Australia, he was not. the pictures of his hands, he had no rings on his hands in Australia. There's so many times where I don't see heavy rings on him in the pictures that they show. So I just don't like the way that they're conflating the way Johnny Depp's hands look right now to the way, and saying that that's how they've always been, because it's not always been, the rings on his hands haven't always been like that. I think that Camille has made some very dangerous points about domestic abuse, like saying that because Amber doesn't have a medical record of some of these things, that it means that it delegitimizes that it's real. And it doesn't make any sense. Like, she's asking why Amber never sought medical attention, even though she said her feet were cut by broken glass. Who goes to the doctor because their feet was cut by broken glass? It's a very stupid point to make. Like, no one goes to the doctor because they cut their feet on broken glass. You just wash your feet and then you move on. Like, it's not really something that you need to go to the doctor about. And there is evidence of Amber having cuts on her arms. Like, I don't know what she's saying by saying that she has to go to a doctor for every little thing. And especially with this broken nose thing, like, I don't know if there's like a big misconception going on, but most broken noses, you don't need to see a doctor for a broken nose. They tend to heal on their own by the 3rd week, so she doesn't need to see a doctor for her broken nose. She explained how she dealt with it. She put ice on it. And if you do a quick Google search of what you should do if you have a broken nose, it tells you can go to the hospital if your nose doesn't stop bleeding or if you have breathing trouble. But most of the time, you don't need to see medical attention. You can take ibuprofen or something for like to help with the pain and stuff like that. But that's all you need to do. You don't need to go to a doctor to check it out. Like, you don't need reconstructive surgery, like she said. Like, that's such a stupid point to make. Camille did such a horrible job now that I think about it. Like, some of the stuff she said, she really should not have said. Like, saying that Amber beat Johnny Depp up is such a ridiculous thing to say. It's not something that Johnny Depp ever said, even on those tapes. Like, he describes it as a fight. He says that he gets into fights with Amber. If there's something physical going on between them, he describes it as a fight. He doesn't say that she beats him up. It's a fight, and maybe it's like a severe fight to him. If she's throwing things at him, yeah, it's a big fight. But then the problem is, like, you can't say that for her to say that she beats him up is ridiculous. And Amber is different. She says that Johnny Depp beats her up, and in that, she's so specific in what she says. She says that he hits her hard repeatedly, but she's also telling you that it's not painful. Most of the time, it doesn't hurt her. The only thing that she said hurt her was the time where he headbutted her, and that is the thing that Johnny Depp on tape admitted that he did. In the UK trial, he didn't even admit to that straight away. He said he'd never headbutted her, ever. That was never something that happened until he was confronted with this tape. And now in the US trial, he came up with this story that he never said before, where apparently Amber started the fight by punching the back of his head. And he said that they clunked heads, only in the foreheads. He didn't do anything lower than the forehead. And yet she took a picture and you can see like a swollen nose and black eyes. And that, like, if she broke her nose, like, that's what she said happened. Like, he headbutted her really hard, enough to break her nose, that blood came out of her nose, and that would be enough to cause 2 black eyes. So it's not an over-dramatic description. It's not an imprecise description of her injuries for her to say that. And she doesn't need to go to the doctor for a broken nose. She can do exactly what she said that she did to sort it out. But yeah, the way that people like compare it to Rihanna, saying that he beat her up with heavy rings, she doesn't say that he punched her in the face. She describes the specific incident. She described him pounding on the back of her head until she passed out, and she doesn't remember how long she was out for, but she's just saying that it was the back of the head, so it wouldn't be visible to people. She describes him pulling out chunks of her hair. She took pictures of that, and then Camille is like focusing on stupid details. Like, she's like, okay, so she's taking pictures of her hair on the floor, and then she's like, why did you not take a picture of the bloody pillow, the blood-soaked pillow? And it's just like, why would she do that? Like, why is she gonna take a picture of a blood-soaked pillow just so you could say that it's just that Amber spilled red wine on the pillow, and then she's trying to pass it off as blood? Because that's what she would say in response to that. Like, nothing would ever be good enough. It's very clear that nothing would ever be good enough. And like Johnny Depp, like this seems like a lie to me, that his whole story is a lie to me. He seems like he lies about everything. And the lawyers on Amber's side asked him a very specific question, like, because they said, are you physically bigger than Amber? Like, and that's the thing. In response, he said that he would not say that. And in previous messages, he's constantly saying to her that she is a little girl. Like, constantly he's saying that. So for him to say that he wouldn't say that he's physically bigger than her, like, is he saying that he doesn't think he's bigger than a little girl? This is ridiculous. And I don't understand how he can get away with saying this type of thing, because Amber's whole thing is like, tell people that it is a fair fight between us when it gets physical. That's what she wants him to say with his chest. Say that to people with a straight face and act like it makes sense. That if I hit you and you hit me back, it means the same thing. I want you to say that to people and act like that makes any sense. Because it's not going to make any sense to people. If he were to say that, it would not make sense to people. And that's the thing that he refused to say. He said he has never struck a woman in his entire life. Not even by accident, not even in self-defense. He's never struck a woman in his entire life. Like, it's unbelievable. And then going beyond that, this whole elaborate hoax idea, it's not an elaborate hoax really, because throughout this entire time, when he apparently blacks out and he doesn't remember anything, Amber tells him, you did this to me. She kind of gives him an idea of what he has done to her. The whole thing about him kicking her on the plane, like his assistants said that we know he kicked you and we told him that, and he cried, and all this other stuff, like saying that he beat her up and that he headbutted her, that he punched her. She tells him this stuff on tape. He never denies any of it. He keeps apologizing to her. After this incident, like this one where she said that she feared for her life after the attack, he married her 2 months afterwards. Like, this is December 2015, and they got married February 2015. So, oh no, this was before. Okay. But yeah, it's just crazy to me that he is not denying. Like, there's so many times where they've been in fights and she describes these things and he's not denying anything, and he decides to marry her without a prenup, against all his against the advice of his sister and everyone in his life. Told him, get a prenup, and he refuses to get a prenup, and he decided to marry her after doing all these things. It makes no sense to do that if that's what he's being accused of. And if Amber had convinced him, say it's a gaslighting thing, Amber had convinced him of that, there are those text messages where he jokes about these things. It's a dark thing to try to joke about, like saying that he will smack the ugly cunt around before he lets her in. Stuff like that. Like, that's kind of making a joke of these abuse allegations that his girlfriend, wife, is convincing him that he does this stuff. He's joking about it. He's not going to break up with her. He's not going to do anything and say. And to this day, he's not giving you an alternative story of what happened. He's just saying, I don't remember, but I still don't believe I did any of that stuff to her. It makes no sense to me. I think he knows exactly what he did. I think he has a little bit more memory of this stuff. I think he knowingly lied when he said that he's never struck a woman in his entire life. I think it's based on all this evidence. it makes no sense that he has no awareness that he did any of that. Looking at those tapes, it's clear to me that Johnny Depp is not afraid of Amber physically abusing him. Like, when he runs away, he's not saying it's because he's afraid of anything that Amber's going to do to him physically. He says that he doesn't like to hear her criticisms, her insults, stuff like that. That's why he doesn't want to be around her. Like the verbal abuse that she does, that's the reason why he doesn't, that's why he splits from her, stuff like that. And on the tapes, like, you can tell that Amber is also, she doesn't seem to be afraid of him. That's why it's hard to tell, like, who is abusing who. But on those tapes, there is this thing where he's taking Xanax to be able to speak to her in a calm way. And she talks about how he convinced her to that these pills were a good idea. Like, she said that he changed her mind on that kind of thing. And then there are medical records with his doctor and prescribing her, like, Ambien and stuff like that. And he accuses Amber of, like, throwing punches and stuff like that. And she denies it. She's like, I don't remember what you're talking about. I took an Ambien. I don't remember the type of thing that you're describing. Like, there's so many times where he's accused her of hitting him and she does not remember. She says to him, if that happens again, you gotta help me. So I don't know what that's about. I don't know why she doesn't remember certain things that he's accusing her of. But that's the kind of response that you would expect. If someone's accusing you of hitting them, you say, what are you talking about? I don't do that. But then whenever Amber's accusing him of punching her, of doing this to her, he never denies it. He's like, he doesn't say anything most of the time. Whenever she accuses him of that kind of thing, he doesn't want to break up with her. He just kind of leaves it as it is. He's never like, what are you talking about? I didn't do that. There's so many times where he kind of just ignores what she just said. She's accusing him of punching her, and there's no response. There's that conversation where she was yelling, and he was upset that his kids heard about it, and she's telling him that she has evidence of, like, that her family has noticed the bruises on her, the missing chunks of hair and the split lip, this and that. He has no response. He's not surprised by anything that she's saying to him. He's not like, what are you talking about? Nothing like that. It's completely fine to him. He doesn't see that there's anything bizarre by what she's saying. So she didn't spring these abuse claims on him last minute with the TRO. This has been an ongoing thing throughout their relationship. And then this whole thing with the private doctor, this Dr. Kibber, like, it's very unprofessional. Like, apparently he was the one that said that Amber had borderline personality disorder, even though he's not a psychiatrist, and all these weird things that are happening between them. And the doctor prescribing her this medication, and Johnny Depp texted the nurse, saying that the drugs are to keep Amber, is to calm her down, to keep her under control. And this seems like a very severe level of abuse. And these things were kept out of the evidence, and it doesn't make sense why it'd be kept out, because it's a text message. And it's not like a doctor's note thing. Like, there's no reason to, like, keep the stuff out of the evidence, and it's proof of a severe level of abuse, and it shows that Johnny Depp is the one in the power position in this relationship. Because when you listen to those tapes, I couldn't tell who was in the power position. Like, it seemed like Johnny Depp did have slightly more power, because he wasn't saying anything. He was always the one in control. He can always leave anytime he wants. He's the one that directs the conversation. Like, because the arguments are kind of bad, they go in a circular way. It's not very productive. And he's the one that tends to be responsible for that, because when Amber asks him a question, he distracts. He doesn't answer the question, and he circles around, and it never goes anywhere. And he tends to be the one who's the main perpetrator of like why they have this circular conversations that don't go anywhere. So it tends to be his fault for that kind of thing. And then I thought that was, maybe there's something to that where he's being manipulative on purpose, but then Amber picks up on it and it's ineffective on her. Like, these manipulative tactics are ineffective on her. And she tells him, don't change what I'm trying to say to you, don't shift what I'm saying. She keeps getting him back on track to the conversation, and it seems like she's the more authoritative one. But basically what I think that is this whole thing with the shrink. Like, he said the same that he wanted to take her pressure away from him, and he got her a shrink, and the shrink seemed to provide Amber with strategies to try to keep those conversations on track and make it more productive. And he was upset that the shrink was helping her out in that way, and that's why he said, by the way, he only made her worse. And he keeps saying negative things about Amber's shrink, because I think that the shrink is trying to give Amber strategies to help dealing with these trying to work out these problems in their relationship, and he doesn't want to work out the problems in the relationship. Specifically, the main question he doesn't want to answer is the reason why he splits. That's the main thing that they argue about, is why does he split, and that's the thing that he keeps refusing to answer. He doesn't have anything to say, it seems. Maybe he doesn't know how to answer that question, but that's why they have circular conversations. He doesn't know how to respond to it. He doesn't like that she keeps focusing on that kind of thing, and that seems to be what the main issue is. So I think it's very messed up that they don't allow these medical records, because if he is medicating her, if he's in control of the doctors she sees and her shrink and all this stuff, like, it makes it seem like he is in the power position. It's a severe level of coercive control. And for them to keep that out of the evidence is not, it's not just to do that. It's a very important piece of evidence. Furthermore, I just wanted to show a side-by-side comparison of what her injury looked like and how she covered it up with makeup, and it seems like a very believable thing to cover up with makeup. Like, you can see that she's wearing heavy makeup, and I don't think her makeup artist lied when she's saying that she covered up the darkness around her eyes. Even when I watched that interview back, you can see like a little bit of drooping on her lip and on her eyes. Like, it does seem like that is exactly what she covered up. So it all checks out for me in terms of that. So this main thing that her article was about, she did not write that headline, but it says that she spoke up about sexual violence and she faced our culture's wrath, and that needs to change. And she gave her story, and I thought it was her story, I didn't say that I believed it at first. I said that I wasn't going to be a jerk about something like this and say it definitely didn't happen. And she gave a story that made enough sense for me to be like, yeah, okay. And initially, when she talked about her bleeding afterwards, I thought that I said that maybe she didn't bleed from the bottle specifically. I thought that maybe she had a panic attack or something, and that's why blood came out, because that's a common thing to happen. Like, I've had that before, so I thought maybe that's what happened. I didn't think the bottle was the thing that caused blood to come out of her in that moment. She said that she was it was a near-death experience kind of thing, and it was enough, like, if you experience severe level of stress, that could be something that leads to spotting, so you could have like a little bit of blood come out of you, and I did not think that the bottle would have caused that much damage based on her description. Like, she said she didn't feel anything. She said it didn't hurt her. She didn't feel any pain. Even when she was giving you an idea of the way he was moving it, she said she wasn't saying that he was moving it in a very vigorous way that it would lead to damage. I didn't think that that's what she was saying at all. And then they showed this picture of the bottles, and it doesn't seem like it would cause that much damage, in my opinion. So I didn't think that was the reason why she bled. And this was the thing where I was like, I did not expect that people would be bold enough to say that this is the thing that did not happen. Like, I did not expect that was going to be the outcome of this. Like, I thought of all her allegations, I thought this was the thing that people were not going to attempt to deny, because how can you disprove something like this under the conditions she's describing? There's no way you can ever prove or disprove this. And these allegations, like, there's nothing you can do about it at this point. They will just sit there. Can't be disproven, can't be proven. It's just about if you believe it or not. And I just felt like I don't want to be the jerk who says that this definitely didn't happen. No, there's no conclusive proof of it, but I mean, I'm not going to say it definitely didn't happen. Absolutely not. This Australia stuff is the thing that people really should not have tried to doubt, because if you doubt this story based on all the evidence that she gave you of this story, no one in the future has any hope of being believed when they give you an accusation of rape or sexual assault. You will never believe anything anyone ever says in the future if you disbelieve this story based on all the evidence that Amber has given on this. And she took pictures of Johnny Depp writing with his severed finger blood. He wrote out these menacing notes accusing Amber of having affairs with people, all this stuff. It shows you that he was mad at her. There's like $100,000 worth of property damage that happened, and then Amber has cuts on her arms. There's pictures of that. She didn't describe her having too many injuries. She said that she had a slight bruise on her jaw, cut up forearms, cut up feet. That's it. So it's not something that there would be a lot of physical evidence on her of, but she did take a picture of these of the writing on the wall, and then Camille asked her, like, again, she keeps asking stupid questions. Like, she's saying, why did she not take a picture of herself? A picture of what exactly? Like, what exactly does she need to take a picture of? Like, did you want her to take a picture of her bloody vagina? Like, why? Just so you can say that it's a period and that she's being over dramatic and trying to accuse him of doing something he didn't do? Like, what exactly did she want Amber to take a picture of? There were pictures of her arms with cuts on it. People noticed that. Like, what exactly? And she's saying, why did you not take a picture of your cut up feet? I mean, there was broken glass everywhere. I mean, excuse Amber for not thinking that was going to be the chink in her armor. Like, she didn't think that was going to be so unbelievable for people to believe that she stepped on broken glass. Like, she didn't think that was going to be a thing that people disbelieve. She took a picture of the thing, the most unbelievable thing ever, which is Johnny Depp, after his finger gets severed, he starts writing, dipping his severed finger in blood, exposing it to germs by his own choice. This is the thing that made him have an infection. That's his own choice. It's not Amber severing his finger, allegedly severing his finger with a vodka bottle. That's not the thing that gave him an infection. It's his personal choice to decide to write menacing notes, touching everything, shoving bacteria into his open wound was the thing that made him sick. That's all his doing. And that's the thing that you can't deny that he did, because the blood came directly out of his finger. She's trying to say that Johnny Depp locked himself away into two bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, whatever. And she's trying to say Amber's the real abuser. How can you say that when the evidence is saying to you that Johnny Depp came out of whatever he locked himself into and wrote with his own blood on everything, menacing notes? He was angry with Amber. You're trying to say that he didn't do anything bad to Amber given these circumstances, and you are making a choice to believe that Johnny Depp caused all this property damage. Amber's there. For some reason, Amber did not do anything in this time. She just sat there. She sat there and she decided to randomly self-harm on her arms. For some reason, she randomly decided to do that. As if that's the more believable conclusion. No one has any hope in the future if that's what you choose to believe, instead of believing Amber's version of events. Like, it's very disheartening that this is the conclusion you've come to in order to protect a powerful man's reputation, and it proves Amber's point completely. Time and time again, Amber and her lawyers have tried to establish this pattern of Johnny having this toxic behavior, his jealous, paranoid behavior. Even in court, he couldn't help himself. Like, Amber's describing all the times that Johnny has accused her of having imaginary affairs. She mentions Eddie Redmayne, and she said that he was a perfect gentleman, and in that moment Johnny Depp rolled his eyes sarcastically. Does he know something that no one else knows? Like, is he not a perfect gentleman? I don't understand what he's trying to say with that, but it just seems like he's still kind of that way. He's still like that type of person. He's jealous, he's kind of childish about this stuff. They've established a pattern, and this is enough to say that he's an abusive partner, emotional abuse, that kind of thing. Like, that is enough for me to believe that Johnny Depp is an abusive person, like, because he does that kind of thing. But then with the sexual violence thing in particular, like, they are trying to say that there is a pattern that goes beyond Amber, because Ben Chu made this whole thing at the closing where he said, this is a Me Too case without any Me Too's. And then you just think, okay, so what is Molly? Is she just like chopped liver then? Because he has this whole text exchange with Stephen Deuces, talking about someone called Molly. We don't know who this person is. Well, apparently, I've heard some wacky theories where people are trying to say that Molly is not a person. They think that Molly is in reference to a pill, which makes no sense when you read out what it's saying. Like, I want to change her understanding of what it is like to be thrashed about like a pleading mackerel. That's not a pill. Pills don't have understandings of, what does that even mean? He's not talking about a pill. He's either talking about a human woman, or maybe I thought he might have been talking about an animal at one point, like maybe Molly is like a cat or a dog or something. But even then, that's not better. It's like bestiality is also frowned upon. So I don't know what he's trying to, there's no way out of this. Like, and he tried to deny that this is him, when it's so clearly him. It's the texting style is the same. It was in 2017. This is after Amber was in his life, so it's not as if Amber took his phone and wrote out these messages. That's not what is happening here. He's doing it, or like he said, a random person took his phone, knew how to mimic his style of writing, and sent out this stuff for some bizarre reason. And that's what you have to believe. That makes no sense to side with Johnny Depp given all the evidence against him, the fact that he won't take responsibility for his actions. It's unbelievable. Like, the things that he tries to get away with. I can't do this anymore. I can't handle this any longer. Like, why is he the more credible one of the two? The Johnny Depp's legal team's strategy was so bad. They did not need to go that way. When I really reviewed the evidence, they actually did not need to go that way to prove that point. There are other ways of making Amber look sketchy where you don't have to resort to victim blaming type stuff. Like, first of all, if you allow her therapist type documents, that you could prove your point about it being an elaborate hoax. They could have done that. That would have proved there's an elaborate hoax if they explained it correctly, but they didn't even want to try. and it makes them look so suspicious. And then all this stuff that they're doing, it didn't even seem like they were trying to win by doing it the way that they were doing it. Ben Chu, like, lifting up his middle finger at Amber when she's talking about certain things, and Camille, like, touching Johnny Depp after he has these serious allegations against him, makes him look like, oh, he can't be a rapist because he's, like, hugging a woman. That's how some people see it. Like, they think that that's simple-minded about that kind of thing. And they've made, like, ridiculous points at the end, like, just saying that no one showed up for Amber in person. Meanwhile, all the people that showed up for Johnny Depp in person were pretty much paid by him. So even his sister, even his best friend, like, they've taken money from him, but his kids weren't involved in it. They didn't want to be anywhere near this. Like, he wrote that message saying that he did everything for his kids, and his daughter didn't like it, and she didn't like that Instagram post, and she deleted everything about him on Instagram, and then because of that, he's doing these paintings where he's describing her as cunning and all this stuff, and it's just like, and saying that because she was silent and all this stuff, like, trying to, and now his fans are harassing her because she didn't say anything in support of him. It's very clear to me that he's not doing this for the benefit of his kids, because his kids don't seem to like what he's doing. He's harmed his kids in saying some of the stuff that he said. So it wasn't a good tactic, and this whole trade-off at the end where Rottenborn laid out what was at stake and Camille laid out what was at stake, and Camille's thing was, it's only about Johnny Depp's reputation, help him get his family back, and Rottenborn said, actually, what this is about is for all DV victims in the future. Make it, if you send out a message that nothing is ever good enough, this is going to be bad for everyone in the future. And the jury members had to make a trade-off. Are you going to choose everyone else, or are you going to choose to protect the reputation of this one powerful man? Which is it? And they chose the one powerful man. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, even if he's completely innocent, they still shouldn't have done that. Even if he was innocent, but he was clearly not innocent. So it's unbelievable. It's very disappointing that they chose him over everyone else, because we know the effects of this is going to be bad for everyone else. So even if Amber was somehow wrong in any way, they still shouldn't have said that she was wrong, and she wasn't. They threw it was a First Amendment thing. They threw freedom of speech under the bus to protect Johnny Depp, and it's not okay for them to have done that.